Let's go on to the next question we have. Kriyas HaTorah. Now, we want to have Kriyas HaTorah together with social distancing. I don't know whether we had this discussion about in this forum. Could you then, and there's according to the Rosh, you can only say a bracha if your mom is standing and reading from the Sefer Torah. According to the Rosh, a blind person could not be given an aliyah. There's a sefer called Masas Binyamin, who was about 400 or 500 years ago, and he says that when you have an aliyah Torah, it's the Bal Koira's bracha, because he's reading. I'm not reading, he's reading. So I'm saying a bracha on his reading. So according to Masas Binyamin, you could stand from a distance and also say a birchas HaTorah. And I used this years ago in the case of an old age home where the people, the residents, found it difficult to come to the Torah. According to Masas Binyamin, they could sit in their place and they could. I don't think you should say Yamoid if they're not going to stand up, but to find a different lashon. Isna mechabed ploini, and he would say his bracha from his seat. According to Masas Binyamin, would be okay. According to the Rosh, it's not okay. There's a discussion, a lot of this in the Tzemach Tzedek and Simon Lamed Hein Chaim. At any rate, according to the people that asked me, I felt that we should be machmer and not say a bracha from a distance. I know it's 770. Simchas Torah, Shalom Shimon said you can make a bracha from a distance. There's a hechrich. Everyone has to have an aliyah on Simchas Torah, and it wasn't practical for everyone to. So he relied on the Masas Binyamin, perhaps, possibly. I don't know. Even Kodesh Masas Binyamin is shvach, because why does he need 500 people to say a bracha? Now, just a second. The other thing is that in Simchas Torah, Bichlal, we're much more lenient, repeating the same thing again. The fact that you have a leniency for Simchas Torah doesn't become Nishta Gans Yor Simchas Torah. Yes, Naftali.
My minion, my garden minion, they said they got upset that you can say the bracha on the Torah from a distance, but you must read the actual kriya.
Okay.
So
all right.
Listen. That the person making the bracha has a text with the kriya in it.
All right. Listen. There's lots of variations of advice given on this inyan, and so I'm going to give another variation. What we've in our street, we've managed to make that the person who has an aliyah stands behind the Bal Koira from a distance, let's say of 6 feet. The bima is quite steep. In a way, especially built a makeshift bima, but that you are able. I can see from 6 feet away. I can read the text. I might be difficult to read it smoothly, but I can follow along. And he uses a yad. The Bal Koira uses a pointer, so I can follow. So I'm keeping to social distancing, and I am able to follow along. And in that setting, that should be okay. Now, in the Beis Din of Chabad in Eretz Yisrael gave out a list of guidelines because now in Eretz Yisrael the government have allowed minyanim, etc., keeping social distancing. So what they've written there was, you go over to the Sefer Torah, the Bal Koira goes away, you go over to the Sefer Torah, say your bracha, and then you step back, the Bal Koira goes over, reads, he finishes, then he goes away, you come back. And I found that I called up one of the Rabbonim, I wasn't clear. Where does this come from? So it is written in Shulchan Aruch, it's written in the Gemara, that before you make your bracha, you have to be roya mashi yikra. It says in Shulchan Aruch, in Sim Kuf Lamed Tes, Sif Dalet, that before reading from the Torah, you should see what you're going to be reading. So that's why they're telling the person to come over. But I still feel, according to the Tzemach Tzedek, to make a bracha and then step away, I didn't understand the sense of it. You'd have to be standing right nearby to be able to read according to that's how I understand Tzemach Tzedek. So I mean, there is a value of and then it's the fact that it says in Shulchan Aruch that before reading you have to see what you're going to be reading. I could argue that can be done by the Bal Koira. In other words, the reason for looking in the Sefer Torah is so that when you open the Torah, you should know where you're going to read. So gearing up to reading. But that's more for the reader than for the one who's being given the honor of having an aliyah Torah. So be that as it may, I think with this method of standing 6 feet behind the Sefer Torah and you're seeing actually, then I think it's safe. No kissing. the Sefer Torah because of keeping your social distancing and all that. Yes, Rabbi Yaakov.
So, in my opinion, we can't get anywhere near the same Torah. So, two things. If I'm called out, I should say no.
That's your choice. You have there is, I'm presenting you a more machmir position and a more lenient position. The more lenient position says you can make a bracha from the distance. The more stricter position would say no. I wouldn't do it.
You're not poskening either way.
I'm giving you the option whether to take the machmir or lenient position. Yeah. Myself, I didn't have an aliyah for weeks until they changed it to make this system. Before they were just doing it from across the street, and I said, no, I don't have to have an aliyah. I'm not mechuyev. Don't do me any favors. Don't push it onto me. And then they changed it around. I can read what's going on. So then I felt that was acceptable. Okay, let's go one more, or just a couple more points.
I did see a blind person have an aliyah once.
Yes, that's written. So the Shulchan Aruch is brought down that they do give. That's relying on the Masas Binyamin, who says that you don't have to read because you're making the bracha for the Bal Korah. That's brought in Poskin. They rely on that opinion. Yes.
So is Raya Mashakoira by the bracha enough, or you still have to follow it through?
I think you'd have to actually follow along. Just to see before and then to step back, I don't see the seichel in it. Because according to the Rosh, you have to follow along. According to Tzemach Tzedek, which is a third mahalach, you're standing in a position as if you are reading Barabim. But if you're standing back, according to Tzemach Tzedek, I don't think that's enough. I know you're suffering from this psak, yeah? But, yeah, Rav Getzel. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. If you have to, we'll have to work it out.